now for these teams, and those are big numbers, and you've got to give them something to move with. Vegas has been way more successful than anybody anticipated. Not that people didn't expect it to be successful, but as a team on the ice, they've been tremendously successful, as they have been at the gate and the rest. But remember what happened to Florida. You know, early success sometimes doesn't always manifest itself into later success. But I'm, you know, casting long-term negative on it. But I don't see anybody that says that this is you know, an aberration. This looks like it can continue, and I think it speaks to management and it speaks to coaching, and they've got that in both areas. Very strong team.
And that said, what do you think their challenges will be going forward? I mean,
I think that
you've lived this for 40 years.
Yeah, their challenges will be if, you know, comparing it. If you don't have that success, how will your patrons respond? Because they haven't had that go through time of evolving and having a lack of success. That's the kind of thing that always concerns me. But I think it's a terrific asset. It really is.
Do you think all these other franchises? There's always a handful that are challenged economically. Do you think there's going to be any movement? Relocations?
I don't know right now. I really can't speak to that. I wish I could, but I can't, and I'm not gonna.
Along those same lines, Jeremy, what about what Winnipeg, a smaller market, has been able to do?
Isn't that terrific? I mean, it shows you what the cap has done in sort of balancing this league. Smart drafting, smart moves, winds up in a successful team like Winnipeg. Winnipeg, well, it's a small market. Because of the enthusiasm that goes on in Canada, they have a strong base and a strong financial base there. I think they're doing very well, but they've done a real good job too. It's a great that's a great series. I watch that all the time. I really enjoy those games. I enjoy both the games now, but I really watching the West evolve, which has been very interesting, where the speed has really made a difference, hasn't it?
On that note, with how great their market is and how enthusiastic, why do you think it just seems like Quebec keeps getting sort of pushed to the background or passed over?
Quebec is challenged. Okay, I can put it nicely. They're challenged. Look at the income base and the population base, and there probably isn't a smaller market, or so they're going to really have to distinguish themselves in some other way, I would think. But you look at Houston and you look at them. You're fifth largest in North America versus, you know, the 105th, let's say, and so they have a different situation there. I mean, economically, they're challenged, and numerically they're challenged. You know, they just don't have the numbers. But we've got enthusiastic fans there. There's no doubt about that. And it's a great market, and I'm not being critical of it.
It is based on geography and the balance of the conferences. The only way maybe they would ever get a team would be relocation, in your eyes?
I have no opinion on that at all. And if I did, I wouldn't share it. So.
I gotta ask.
With regard to the gambling, do you think this will change how teams report their injuries? Will you have to be more definitive about that?
Oh, there's a lot of that will have to be managed probably with cautiously. Those are some of the considerations that everybody says, wow, this is great, but the devil's going to be in the detail on this and how it gets evolved. And I think we're going to learn a lot from what's going on in Europe and Australia and how they handle these things.
It seems absurd to even have to think about this, but this is kind of the line that's going to get crossed now with the gambling becoming a thing. Is that it's something that you feel like teams will have to address with players and the organization, just in terms of, I mean...
You mean the integrity aspect?
Yeah.
In Australia, they refer to it as an integrity fee. We don't think we have an integrity issue. We like our class of players and who they represent. No, and the earnings that they get. No, it's a different situation.
Looking forward to China. How do you think that relationship has developed?
It's a long ways.
Yeah.
I'm really enthusiastic about it. Think about the last time we went on a trip to Europe. We came back and won a Stanley Cup, so I can't wait to get away. I'm really hoping that we enjoy it as much as we did Prague, and that we come back with strong results. I think it would be very engaging if I were a young person playing hockey to go over there and spend a few days on the expense of the league and the team.
What did you think of Wayne Gretzky getting involved out there and starting to do a lot of work?
Well, I'm not. What are you thinking of?
With was it the marketing he's doing over there for hockey?
Okay. That's been going on for a while. I mean, we've had obviously, courtesy of our sponsor here, and locally, we've had some of our players over there doing work, and they enjoy it. It's new and it's different. It's exciting. Let's face it, it's probably the fastest growing economy in the world today, and so you get to see a real engine at work. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, the size of those cities and all. They were talking about Shenzhen. I was there probably 30 years ago, and it was going strong, and would be playing there this fall. So it'd be great. I'd like to go back and see what it's doing.
Is there a grand design for the NHL overseas in term? It could go anywhere, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I can't envision a team in China. But I mean,
You
could
may
you
not-
envision a team in London or Madrid or?
Yeah, you can. But what you might not envision a team, but you might envision a league.
Yeah.
In China.
As a development league, you're talking, or?
Well, we always think of as ours being the greatest and best, and I think we're looking at great consuming countries, and we've got a lot of product to sell. I mean, and I don't mean, we have in the gaming industry perhaps that might get involved. We have our films, we've got
You
so
thinking
much going on.
merchandise? Are you thinking shirts? Or you
I'm thinking, yeah, that's at the basic, but the enthusiasm, world enthusiasm, I think will help us to grow our product. We've got people over here consuming products from British soccer teams and all, but that probably wouldn't have happened if we hadn't had a U.S. soccer team, which is subordinate to say the Brits and the rest. So those are things that I think it's the world enthusiasm will make a difference, I think.
When David Backus spoke at the end of the year about his concussions, he seemed a bit hesitant, but admitted on his own accord that he's had a few. Do you feel like the NHL can refine how it handles concussions, and just we've seen how the whole the connection between CTE and what the NFL has done? Do you think it's either?
I'm really not in a position to speak on that. I really don't understand it totally, and I don't think anybody really has an answer on it. Nobody's come up and been able to explain in terms that I can understand. I really don't have a position on it. I wish I did.
Jeremy, going back just to what Kevin was talking about with the team over there earlier, and you mentioned maybe a league. There was talk a few years back, I think, about the NHL, the KHL does it, and I think another league, they do like a Champions League over in Europe. Could you ever see the NHL sending teams over for that?
It's beyond my pay grade. I really don't know. I mean, those are things that probably will evolve, hopefully. Well, okay. I absolutely have nothing more to say. Thanks, guys.